Hello everyone, and welcome back to the world of Disney Castle. Today I'm going to show you how to create a short flying challenge that'll give the players something else to do in this toy box. I did not show this flying challenge in the playthrough video, but I did give you a glimpse of it in the preview trailer. And this challenge is accessed from the top of the castle from a challenge maker that is up here. And players will discover this when they explore the castle using the side quest that we created last time. And the goal of the challenge is to collect all of the floating rings as quickly as possible. So you're going to have to fly around the castle and collect the rings. Now to save time, I've already placed the Creativitoys that we're going to need, so let me show you those. First we have a challenge maker, and notice the direction that I have that facing. That's kind of important because as the player begins, that shows them where the first ring is. They're going to start right on the challenge maker. And then we have a timer. We have a replayer, 2 logic gates, a time delayer, and a collectible tracker. And again, all of these toys are out of the Creativitoys drawer. We have an object generator and a locator. Alright, so that's what we start with. And once again, I'll have logic diagrams on my blog that will help you connect all of these. The link will be in the video description. So let's go ahead and start with the challenge maker. So on the properties for this, most of this is going to be fine as is. We're going to change the results score label though to time, because this is a timed challenge. And all of the rest of these are okay. We'll change the challenge type though to start on foot. Alright, then we have a timer, and this is going to control the time of the game. So on the properties for this, we're going to turn off both of these properties. The 300 is fine because we're not going to use the target time. The replayer, we're going to use this to put down the rings that we're going to collect. So we'll take the playback interval to 0 and the properties for that. On the time delayer, we'll leave it as the default time of 1 second. A little bit tongue-tied today. And on the collectible tracker, we're already using another collectible tracker in this toy box, so it's really important that we pick a specific collectible and stick with it. And we're going to use the gold challenge ring, and we can show them on the radar. That wouldn't be a bad thing in case the player gets turned around. Okay, and then for our flying pack, we're going to use the object generator to put that out here. And so we're going to connect this up to the locator. That's right there. And we're going to use the level starter to put in the default pack. So we'll come over to our level starter. New logic connection on Catalyze. And you can use any pack that you want, really. My initial thinking was to use the glide pack. The problem with the glide pack, though, which is this one, is that you can only fly kind of a short distance and sail the currents before you just start to sink, and it doesn't really matter what you do. You can't stay airborne long enough for this challenge. So rather than use that, I chose to use the Crow Wing pack. But you can use the Crow Wing pack, you can use the Green Goblin glider. Either of those will work fine. But the Crow Wing pack I find have a little bit more control over it. The Green Goblin glider, you have control, but it moves a lot faster, so it's a little bit harder. So if you want a better challenge, use the Green Goblin glider. But we'll use the Crow Wing pack. Alright, and then we can move this toy below the terrain. All right, for the challenge maker, let's set up the timer first. So we're going to do a new logic connection on invites accepted, and there's two things we need to do on invites accepted. The first thing we want to do is come over to the timer and reset. So you can play this challenge as many times as you want. And then a new logic connection on invites accepted, and as you probably know, I cannot make another connection directly to the timer with that, so that's why we have the logic gate out here. So we'll input into that, and then on output from that, we'll come over to the timer and do the other thing that we want to do, which is to show the timer display. On the challenge maker, new logic connection, when the game is started, we want to start the timer. On the challenge maker, new logic connection, when the game is ended, and once again we want to do two things here. First thing we want to do is pause the timer. Make sure that's paused. It should be from the collectible tracker, but we want to make sure we do that. And then once again, since I can't make another direct connection to there with the game ended, we're going to come to the second logic gate and input into that. And on output from that gate, we'll come over here and hide the timer from the display. All right, and then the last thing we want to do is new time results connection. We want to link the results to the timer so that at the end of the challenge we display the timer, the final time. All right, and that's everything that we need with the timer. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is put the rings in there. So let's come out of the editor, and we will step on our replayer, which gets us our little menu in the lower right. On my Wii U, I press B to start recording, and then I got to step off to get back in the editor. And again, we're going to use the gold challenge ring. And my thinking is the player starts on the pad, but they're going to have to climb this tower. First thing they got to do is climb that tower to get up here and jump off to be able to get to this ring. Or they could start from down there, but they're going to have to fly upward to get to the ring. And let me pull up my screen grab here. So we're going to start this. The top of the ring is going to be at the level of the ledge up here. All right. And then we're going to move away from there out to about this point. Okay. So that's where the first ring goes. And then the next ring will drop down about like that. And we move out here. And again, this is going to be lined up, with the other ring. So no funny business just yet. We want to kind of have the player flying in a straight line initially. And I'm going to line it up with those two trees back there in the background. So that's the height and where that one goes. Okay. And then they're going to have to round a corner. So again, we'll drop this down a notch. And we'll line this up kind of with that building over there. As you can see, and we'll kind of put it here between those two trees. So it's a little bit of a tight turn to get through here, but you can do that with the Crowwing pack. If you're using the Green Goblin glider, you probably want to scoot this further left because they're going to need a wider turn. All right, so the next one, again, we drop it down. We're going to pull it back from that one. And this one is going to sit actually about right there. That's pretty good. All right, then we'll drop it down, and we're going to have them come around another bend. And we're going to line this one up about like that. And about like that. Okay, now for the next one, we'll drop it down again. And rather than come directly off of this and have them going in a straight line, we're going to make them have to go diagonally and give them a little bit of a challenge. So we're going to put this one right over top of the garden here. So about like that. A little bit further. It's about like you see here. And the next one, once again, we drop it down a little bit more. We're going to place this one out over this direction. And we'll kind of put it between those two trees down there. And we'll line it up in this direction with these towers here. So they're going to have to kind of curve across the courtyard here to get to that. All right, the next one, again, drop it down. We're going to turn, and we're going to come over about like that, and about something like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Sorry, I was looking at my screen grabs. And then drop it down again. And we'll come over about here. We're going to line this up with that one. And then the next one, we drop it down. We come over about to the front of that tower. But this time we're going to scoot over to the left a little bit. We don't want to make this too easy for them. Make them have to maneuver around. And then we're going to drop this down a couple of notches. And at this point, they're going to have to really drop down. And we could put another one even over here. So something like this. And now the next one, to make this kind of challenging, I thought it'd be good to fly through the smoke, where it's a little hard to see where your next ring is. So that one's going to sit there like that. This one is going to sit in the middle of the square here, kind of lined up with the center of those stairs. And lined up with the seam between those two buildings down there. So you can see that's going to be kind of hard to see when you fly through the smoke. And then we'll fly through this smoke once again. And we'll drop this one down. Put it about right here on this tree. The next one we'll put down here. We're almost done with the challenge. So something like that. And then the final one over here, pretty close to the ground. And then I'm going to exit. And then once again, we'll step on the replayer, press B to stop recording, and A to clear. And again, only press A one time. So that's how we'll get the challenge rings into the toy box. So on the challenge maker, a new logic connection. On invites accepted, we'll come over to our replayer and do a playback. And on the challenge maker, a new logic connection when the game is ended. Come over here and clear the replayer. And that'll take them out at the end of the game. All right. Now our collectible tracker is going to keep track of those as the player picks them up. And when they get the last one, that's when we'll end the game. So on the collectible tracker, well, actually before we do that, since we can play this multiple times, on the challenge maker we'll want to do a new logic connection on invites accepted. Make sure we reset the collectible tracker. Alright, and then on the collectible tracker, a new logic connection. When the final collectible is collected, we want to make sure we pause that timer immediately. On the collectible tracker, a new logic connection when the final collectible is collected. Now we do not want to come over here and complete the game immediately, which is why we have the time delayer in here. Because I've noticed sometimes when you pick up a collectible and you immediately end the challenge, it's like there's something that doesn't have time to finish, and sometimes the game locks up. So we want to give the collectible tracker time to finish, have the collectible itself time to finish, especially since we're going to be removing the collectibles here at the end of this. So when the final collectible is collected, we'll come to the time delayer and start the delay, and 1 second later that'll go off. So on the time delayer, a new logic connection when the delay is completed. Then we'll come to the challenge maker and complete the game. And that takes care of the logic for that. And that's everything. It's a pretty simple challenge. And at this point you'll want to save your game and then try it out. And I'm fairly certain I've got this right. So we'll go ahead and try this out. We don't have our glide pack over there yet, so let me go into the packs and tools, and we'll go ahead and select that Crowwing pack. And I placed it over there so the player can pick that up ahead of time. They don't have to start the challenge first to do that. Alright, so we'll start the challenge. Timer begins at 0. Our first collectible is up there, so it's a little easier, I think, to climb this than to try to use the Crowwing pack to get up there. And we'll see how fast I can do this. It's not as high-tech as I'd kind of like. Like I said, I really would have liked to have used that glider. Buzz Lightyear's jetpack is interesting too. Problem is the rings drop in elevation as we go around this course. And the jetpack goes at a constant level, so you kind of have to turn it off, turn it on. That can be kind of challenging too, because if you go too low, then you'll have to somehow get back up to an elevation where you can take off again and try to collect the rings. So, whoa! I missed one. That's what makes this challenging. And here's where this gets challenging. Did I pick up all those rings? I did. You can try to fly around the smokestacks, but those take time. Or around the chimneys. And there we go.
Fantastic.
Let's see how I did. 1 minute, 36 seconds. Not my best. But you get the idea. So that's how you can build a simple flying challenge, and it's something you can add to any kind of toy box. Next time we'll add the finishing touches on this toy box and wrap it up, and then on Friday we'll begin working on the second world in this adventure, the world of Timeless River. You'll need the Frankenweenie Toy Box Customization Power Discs to build that world, so if you don't have those discs yet, you might want to visit Amazon or eBay or whatever other site you use to try to find a deal. Last week I posted some links to Amazon US on my blog, because Amazon had these power discs listed at a very reasonable price. I'm not sure how long those prices will last, but if you live in the US and you don't own those discs, check out my blog. You'll also find the logic diagram from today's video there. That's all for me today. Take care.